Chapter 2. You excited for the Emerald Veins? I ask Pete as we head down the paved street lined with cabins toward the main one. He adjusts his large, clunky glasses as he grinds his teeth a bit, an ancient habit of his. Not really. I know, seriously, who could possibly be excited about emerald deposits underneath the bottom of a canyon? Even Mom didn't seem to care. Yeah, I noticed. I have to admit, hardly anything gets by Pete. To be honest, I'm surprised this whole trip was her idea, or at least the Grover Canyon State Park part. The next leg of our trip is 3 nights in a small town called Telluride in southwest Colorado, another painfully long drive from here, filled with more red rock and pine trees galore. At least that's what Mom and Dad said. Me too, Pete says, though she does seem to be preoccupied with something. Not sure what, though. Yeah, I noticed that too. Even a couple of weeks before the trip, she'd seemed to be constantly alternating between being spacey and literally vibrating with intense energy, 2 totally different extremes, but I just figured she was excited for the vacation. Pete scuffs his foot against a large stone in the middle of the road as we continue along. But enough about Mom. Why are you always ragging on Dad so much? I mean, I know you normally do at home, but it seems to be like on overdrive or something since we've been on vacation. He has a point. I shrug. He's just a lame-o, that's all. He's not cool like Mom. Seriously, there's absolutely no comparison in my opinion. I mean, Mom's the head of a gigantic, highly respected pharmaceutical company that creates all these major award-winning products that help millions of people's health issues. It's why we have such a big, fancy house and go on so many expensive vacations. On the other hand, Dad works for a tiny company that makes a bunch of silly, cheap comic books that really have a dumb sense of humor, if you can even call it humor. What are you talking about? Pete asks. Dad's hilarious, and his company's comic books are pretty funny too, and smart because they always star superheroes who solve problems and defeat villains and stuff with their huge, science-y brains. But, well, you know what if you actually read any of them? I have read some of them. Not really. I'd never touch one of those pathetic things in my life. They're just not my thing, that's all. Pete scoffs, though on him it sounds more like a light cough. Says the girl with a ginormous sense of humor who's always reading science and math books in her free time. All right, he's got another point there, although the books always annoy the crud out of me because I have trouble grasping what they're saying exactly, but I'd never admit that to Pete. Especially since he's so naturally good at both those things. Lucky guy. We turn the corner and continue along the much wider main road like Dad said, a lone cabin bordering it on the right. A man standing at a grill at the cabin's property nearly at the edge of the street. He's got to be over 6 feet tall and wearing a pair of ripped dark blue jeans and a black t-shirt so tight I can see he's pretty muscular. But the weirdest feature of all is his long, gray, wispy hair falling along the sides of his super pale face and past his shoulders. He stares at Pete and me, totally expressionless. I can't help but gaze back, and a smile slowly breaks out on his face, one that doesn't quite reach his eyes and reveals a couple rows of yellow, crooked teeth. I stifle a cringe as quickly as I look away, but I can't help but glance at him a couple more times as we walk by. And each time he's still staring at us. Hard. During my last glance, he's even in the middle of flipping a burger on the grill, which he does deftly without even looking at it, a light steam drifting up into the partly cloudy sky. This time I can't help but shiver, only to notice a woman a little further along the road, also on the cabin's property. She's back a ways, though, just outside the cabin. She looks pretty young and is wearing what appears to be a white Victorian dress, complete with bonnet, holding a baby and a blanket in her arms. When her gaze falls upon Pete and me, and her eyes widen slightly and she takes a step back, clutching her baby even closer to her chest as if we pose some kind of crazy threat to it or her family or something. Oh man, I whisper just loud enough for Pete to hear once we've passed the couple. Those people are weird and kinda creepy. Tell me about it, he whispers back. Hopefully not everyone staying out here is like that. Amen. We round another corner, and I don't even bother to look back at the couple before we do. The way my back is prickling, I just know they're both still staring intently at us, so I focus on what's ahead. Looks like the road continues for a little ways before making yet another turn. Hopefully the canyon is just around that one, because it already feels like we've been walking for an eternity. Or maybe that's only because of the creepy people we just passed. Hey, check it out! Pete points off to the side of the road. What? I don't see anything. He heads to the other side and points again. Ah, what appears to be a dirt path of some kind weaves through the woods a little ways before disappearing into the thick of it. It's so narrow and overgrown, I'm surprised Pete even saw it. I mentally slapped myself in the face. Of course he did. He's the noticer of everything, after all. Cool, I say. So you found an old, crummy, overgrown path. Big deal. He shrugs. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm about to keep walking down the main drag when an idea hits me. Let's see where it goes. Pete looks at me as if I've sprouted my own cluster of weeds and undergrowth, which would actually be kinda cool, especially if they pushed up from my hair alongside my sandy-colored pigtails. Then I could be some kind of super vegetation woman, like Poison Ivy or something, fighting crime with a bunch of twisted vines and flower buds. Not that I give a crud about comic book characters, of course. Pete cocks his head and runs a hand along his smooth black hair as he examines the path. He's so lucky. He got Mom's beautiful thick hair and shimmering hazel eyes, while I got super thin hair and poop-colored eyes from Dad, of course. Really? He asks. You want to explore the sorry thing? What if it doesn't go anywhere, or at least anywhere interesting? And what if it sort of just disappears and we get lost? We won't get lost. If it disappears, we'll just head back. Plus, wherever it goes, it's got to be more interesting than emerald veins. I hold up my open hand and ripple my fingers like Dad did as I croon, "Ooh." He chuckles, wiping a stray strand of his wavy hair away from his eyes. Come on, I say. If we don't check it out, we'll never find out one way or another, right? Plus, we have a few nights here. Something tells me we're going to be seeing more than our fair share of emerald veins during all that time. This is our chance to see something different. Not that I'd bet on it, but I'd rather find out for sure. Pete keeps gazing down the trail and finally nods. Okay, let's go. At least for a little while, anyway. That's the spirit, I say, trying to emulate Dad's overly dorky voice. Yeah, that's a great idea, says a deep voice with an oddly feminine twang to it. We both whip around. That same creepy man with the long wispy hair by the grill is walking along the road holding the leash of a ferocious-looking Doberman Pinscher. The sleek black dog stares at us with unblinking eyes. What the? Wasn't this guy just grilling hamburgers? And where the heck did the dog come from? Either way, the man's still wearing that awful smile, the one that doesn't quite reach his eyes and reveals his grotesque teeth. You kids go on ahead and do that. His smile widens ever so slightly as he and his dog pass us. Just don't get lost now. Pete and I don't even say anything, just push onto the trail, our feet sinking into the soft earth, and keep going. I don't even bother to give the eerie man another glance. I know he and his dog are watching us, maybe even standing in place now. I can only hope they don't wind up following us.